What if everything you've been told about what's beneath Mount Shasta is incomplete? For over 130 years, spiritualists, paranormal investigators, and indigenous traditions have claimed that an advanced civilization dwells in crystalline chambers deep within this 14,000-foot volcanic peak in Northern California. But here's what's strange. The scientific establishment has largely ignored serious investigation. Electromagnetic anomalies, UFO sightings, testimony spanning centuries, consistent descriptions from completely independent sources. The evidence suggests something is being overlooked. In the next few minutes, we're examining the documented anomalies, the historical accounts, and the questions science refuses to answer about Mount Shasta's hidden depths. Mount Shasta rises abruptly from the Cascade Range in Northern California, visible from over 100 miles away on clear days. At 14,179 feet, it's not just geographically isolated, it occupies a unique place in the paranormal landscape. The Kuruk and Modoc tribes, indigenous to the region for millennia, maintain detailed oral traditions about underground realms within the mountain. These weren't vague mythological references. They described specific characteristics: luminous beings, crystalline architecture, and a civilization that predated human presence on the surface. Fast forward to 1934. Occultist Guy Warren Ballard published his account of encountering ascended masters directly on Mount Shasta's slopes. He described beings of pure light, underground temples, and advanced knowledge. His I Am teachings influenced millions of followers. What's remarkable is that Ballard's descriptions paralleled the indigenous traditions without direct cultural overlap. Both sources describe the same types of beings, the same architectural features, the same spiritual significance. The pattern becomes difficult to ignore when multiple independent witnesses across centuries describe identical phenomena without collaboration. Here's where the official narrative becomes problematic. Mount Shasta is scientifically confirmed to contain extensive cave systems and lava tubes. This is documented by the United States Geological Survey. But the geological establishment has conducted remarkably limited investigation into the mountain's deepest structures. Recent paranormal research teams have documented electromagnetic anomalies in specific zones that correlate with reported portal locations and historical accounts of underground entrances. These readings deviate significantly from baseline measurements expected in volcanic terrain. One investigative team, using calibrated magnetometers, recorded fluctuations in the 200-meter radius around the reported inner portal that contradicted standard geological models. Additionally, Mount Shasta has become a hotspot for documented UFO sightings. MUFON records and UFO casebook archives show over 300 reported sightings since the 1950s. What's curious is the clustering pattern. Sightings increase during periods of heightened electromagnetic activity. Whether these craft are extraterrestrial, interdimensional, or represent hidden technology, the correlation suggests something beyond coincidence. The Theosophical Society's teachings identified Mount Shasta as a primary refuge for survivors of the lost continent of Lemuria. This esoteric philosophy, while dismissed by mainstream academia, the most intriguing aspect of Mount Shasta isn't what we know, it's what hasn't been thoroughly investigated. The scientific establishment has largely avoided launching comprehensive expeditions into the mountain's deepest accessible regions. When paranormal researchers submit findings to peer-reviewed journals, submissions are routinely rejected without serious review. The rationale? Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. But extraordinary claims deserve extraordinary investigation. What becomes clear when examining the pattern is that Mount Shasta operates under an unspoken assumption. The mountain is thoroughly understood, so anomalies don't warrant attention. Yet, the evidence suggests otherwise. Indigenous knowledge keepers maintain their oral traditions. Modern investigators document measurable electromagnetic phenomena. Multiple independent sources spanning centuries describe consistent details about the same location. The convergence of evidence from disparate sources, spiritual traditions, paranormal research, geological anomalies, and witness testimony, suggests that Mount Shasta harbors genuine mysteries. Whether a literal civilization exists within the peak remains unproven, but the reluctance to investigate rigorously raises legitimate questions. What are we afraid to find? What would change if we discovered that advanced beings or technology existed? The evidence suggests that Mount Shasta represents something science hasn't adequately explained. Whether the underground civilization is literal, metaphorical, interdimensional, or entirely misunderstood, the documented phenomena deserve serious investigation. The mountain's electromagnetic anomalies, the consistent cross-cultural testimony, the UFO sighting correlation, the unexplored depths of accessible caverns. None of this proves the existence of an inner Earth civilization, but all of it indicates that official geology has an incomplete picture. What's remarkable is how quickly scientific institutions dismiss possibilities that don't fit established models. But history shows us that today's impossibilities often become tomorrow's accepted reality. The pattern becomes clear when you examine the evidence objectively. Mount Shasta is hiding something, and we're only beginning to ask the right questions about what that might be.
The Mount Shasta inner civilization claim commits several critical logical fallacies. First, appeal to antiquity. Because Native Americans have sacred traditions about the mountain doesn't validate literal underground cities. Spirituality and geology operate independently. Second, argument from silence. The absence of scientific refutation isn't evidence of cover-up. It reflects that the claim lacks testable parameters. Third, confirmation bias in action. Paranormal investigators selectively document electromagnetic anomalies without proper control measurements or peer review validation. Modern magnetometers measure baseline fluctuations. Mount Shasta's readings fall entirely within normal range for volcanic terrain. Fourth, false convergence. When multiple unrelated sources make similar claims, this indicates how mythological narratives propagate through cultural networks, not corroboration. The Theosophical Society invented Lemuria to fill gaps in 19th century evolutionary theory. It's discredited pseudoscience. Guy Ballard's accounts are subjective mystical experiences, not empirical evidence. Occam's razor applies decisively here. Mount Shasta is a well-mapped stratovolcano. Its caves and lava tubes are documented and accessible. There is zero archaeological evidence of habitation. No skeletal remains, tools, structural artifacts, or biological evidence exist. The simpler explanation: humans find isolated mountains psychologically compelling and project meaning onto them, requires no hidden civilization. Serious investigation demands testable claims with falsifiable predictions. This topic provides neither.